Yo, what up? So I'm basically here to dive into the aim rabbit hole even more. Today I'm going to be talking about something called zoomed out aim. If you're wondering what zoomed out aim is basically like something that I, discovered like maybe over like a year ago, and it has to deal with not necessarily doing something like looking at your crosshair, but it's like an iteration of that. So basically what you want to do is you want to, like I said, with your eyes kind of zoom out and look around like the borders of your monitor. Now basically when you do this, you kind of use your peripheral vision as if what you're staring at literally is not there almost. Like you could see it in front of you, but your brain isn't acknowledging that it's there. You know what I mean? Like I'm doing it right now to like try to practice it to give like a demonstration, but I literally I'm just using straight up peripheral vision. Like it's as if I'm trying to like see what's on my left and what's on my right while looking at what's in the middle. So now this is where it starts to get a little bit wacky, alright? I'm gonna sit up here on Paint and basically try to give you a demonstration. Okay, now this is your monitor, right? And basically you want to look at these borders here, right? You want to acknowledge the sides, the top, and the bottom, of the monitor. But basically, you're using your eyes to zoom out a little bit so you can see the borders of your monitor. And the whole use of this is to basically make it so where you're aware of the targets when they come onto the screen, and you can flick and move your crosshair directly where they're at, like when they show up. But the main thing is this is most likely going to hurt your eyes and break your eyes, because when I was doing it, it wasn't that much fun. You know what I mean? It was like, it took a lot of practice, but at the same time, it's like this. You have like a border around your monitor, and the only thing you're focused on is your monitor and your crosshair. Now you would think like, oh, you automatically move your crosshair to the center of your screen. So this is just like practicing centering your crosshair to the screen so you know where it's at. But yeah, in a perfect world, this is like the perfect way to aim, because you know where every enemy is because you can see your whole screen, and then your crosshair will magically flick over to the side and directly onto your target whenever they, pop up on the screen. But this also comes with the technique of not over flicking and stuff like that. And I don't know how effective this type of method would be. You know what I mean? In all actuality, the only reason like I'm making this video is to just, add a little bit onto the, what is it called? Like the aim community, because I've been trying to like gatekeep this for a long time, because I like to think that it's a good way of aiming, even though it's probably not the best way of aiming, especially for the game that I play, which is Valorant. So it's more or less just like a kind of a niche thing. It would specifically help me in like scenarios on aimlabs where you have to do like a lot of tracking. You need to like zoom out and like follow the target, you know what I mean? And it's like the target isn't very jittery compared to like a target in Valorant. It's not going to help because it's constant jittery, like left, right, left, right, left, right. You know what I mean? Comparison to an aimlabs task that it's just always going to be like consistently in that area, and you need to zoom out to specifically follow that target whenever it moves. Like I said, I don't know if this is, like the start of a bad habit or whatnot, but, I thought I would just throw it out here, because for a good amount of time, I've always thought that like like I said, the thing I coined it as the zoomed out aim, I thought it was a pretty good thing to have, and I thought it actually did something. But at this point, I'm almost over with it. Like I don't really think it does much. Like I said, it does help with the tracking, I guess, a little bit, but I always thought this was like, oh, my number one key to success. I really don't think it is. If it is, it is, but I'd have to find that out in the future. But I think it's like this is a suboptimal, not natural way of like playing the game, and I think there's a better way to zoom out rather than forcing it. When I forcefully do it like this, I don't think it's good. But when you can naturally zoom out, then I think it's better. But literally, the way I told you how to zoom out hurts your eyes at first, but then when you get used to it, it starts to, get a little bit adjusted. But it's such a forceful way of like playing and, looking at the monitor and looking at the crosshair that I don't think it works at all. Just because it doesn't rely on like a few like, key factors. Like the main thing is like being able to shoot on target. If you can shoot on target with this thing, then, it's probably one of the best things you can possibly have in your arsenal. But I can't find a way to make it work with shooting on time, because you're basically looking at almost nothing. Since you're zoomed out, you don't really know when you're perfectly on target. Like a general, where they are generally, but you don't know fully where the target's at, but you have a general knowledge of where they're going to be according to where your crosshair is. You know what I mean? Like I said, I try to gatekeep my aim techniques, but I thought I'd let this one go out there because maybe I can have somebody that knows what they're doing and knows the same technique that could help me, get better at it or improve upon it to make me better. Or at the same time, this could be the one thing that can, snap somebody into a rhythm or completely change the way they aim and help them out. But seriously, it's just how I demonstrated it. You basically have to revert your eyes backwards and still have a good idea of where your crosshair is relative to the target. But like I said, if you're gonna try to go for one taps and stuff like that, it almost eradicates everything that you have to do with the crosshair to a certain extent. And since I've tried playing with it for so long, like the zoomed out aim for so long, it doesn't really have the same effect for me compared to what it used to do. And that's pretty much all I have to say about the aim technique. The one thing I would like to say before I end the video is thank you guys for all the likes and all the comments and stuff like that. I appreciate it a lot. Also the sheer number of views that I get on these videos, thank you too. Also the last thank you is to the people that have been subscribing. Thank you also to those people. But yeah, this video is basically just here to plant the seed on looking into what zoomed out aim could be or what it is actually. And that's all I got. So, see ya.